Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back or welcome to High Heels Happy Hour. Welcome back if you are returning, and welcome if you're new.
If you're new, yes.
I'm Christina,
And I'm Ingrid.
and this is the podcast when we chat about everything female entrepreneurship and a few men, because most of the content will apply to both men and women. But since we are females, we know that the best. We can speak from experience there.
Love it.
Yeah.
So don't forget to rate, review, and on YouTube you can comment.
Yeah. And share.
Yes.
Share.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah. But yeah, it really helps the algorithm for podcasts when they send suggestions out there if there have been ratings and comments. So please help us with that.
Yes. So let's check in. So
Yeah.
what great has happened? So I'll go first.
Yes.
I went to my first doggy birthday.
I
party.
saw that on social. That was very cute.
It was a little nerve-wracking.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of dogs.
But your dog is extra well behaved. He's a service dog.
I know, but not everybody is well behaved, and I wasn't sure how he would act.
Oh,
Because it's a dog. He's a service dog, but he's still a dog.
Yeah.
So he did good.
Oh, good.
And I think I did okay.
Oh, good.
So that was fun.
Okay.
How about you?
I had my first official fundraising event for Dancing with Vera Stars, benefiting Indian River County Healthy Start. And it was a spaghetti social at the clubhouse where I live, the Antilles, for those of you that live in Vero. But we have a beautiful clubhouse. It's really big, and you can rent it for parties. So I did, and I invited everyone in my neighborhood. Quite a few of them came. And then I also opened it up for friends and family. But we had great turnout, and people were so generous. So if you were at the Spaghetti Social, thank you. And I had gotten sponsorship from restaurants around town that donated pasta dishes, and you helped me with that. So they were super generous too. So we had some food left over, even though people ate a lot, but we had food left over. I should say we had dessert sponsorship too. And they were just, oh my God, they were so
They
good.
looked really good.
Sweet Desires is a new place opening up here in Vero. But we had some leftovers, and some people could take plates with them home, but we were also able to donate to one of Healthy Start's dad groups. They had the following day. They got lunch, leftover pasta. So that was great.
That worked out.
But yes, I beat my my goal for the fundraiser. I beat that I went way over. So that was
I'm sorry.
Great. Yes, I was really shocked over how I had a minimum donation set, and since I didn't have much overhead, I had a few things, but nothing that I was going to charge anyone for. So 100% of everything was going to be donated. And I thought maybe, a few will give a little more than the minimum. A lot of people gave way more than the minimum.
That's awesome.
So that was so generous. I'm very excited. Yes, that was, and yeah. Should I do my hack?
Sure, and then I'll do mine after. Yes.
So I'm actually going to film TV on this tomorrow, national TV. So I was thinking about this morning how I'm going to set it up, because I film it out of my house and we do it via Zoom. It's for the show The List. And so I'm going to talk about some of these kind of ideas for your home. But one thing, for those of you that don't know, I love to give style tips on home and interior design, and also personal style. And tomorrow I'm talking interior design and how you can make your home look a little more expensively decorated than it is. And one thing I really love to work with are bookshelves. So kind of like what we have behind here, but these are just very kind of thin shelves. But looking at bookshelves around your house, bookshelves are for so much more than just books. So you can really have fun with bookshelves, putting in momentums, and if you have a blank wall you don't know what to do with, putting in a bookshelf is really a great idea because you
Hmm.
can play around, move around things too, according to like we do here. So yeah, if you don't have bookshelves in your home, that is a great thing to incorporate. And again, for more than books. And I should say, I do have all these kind of fun little PDF sheets with tips and ideas, and you can go to connectwithchristina.com and you can download all of those for free. So, and I do spell my name with a K. So connect with Christina with a K.com. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
But that's, yeah, have fun with bookshelves. What is your hack?
My love hack, probably not like a
Oh, you have
hack.
a love hack, not just a life hack. You have a
Oh
love
yeah,
hack.
love hack.
Oh,
I spilled the beans before I even said it. So this is kind of adding a little bit to our last week's episode.
no, it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
My goodness.
The love language.
Yes.
Yes. If you
Oh,
didn't check
man.
that out, check that episode out.
So fast. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's downloading an app called Love Nudge. Like a
Mm.
little nudge. And I've downloaded it myself
Oh.
with
Is it a
Victor.
free app?
It's a free app.
Ah.
And if you haven't taken the test already, the love language,
Mm-hmm.
it's available to take.
Yeah, and you
And
can go to the show notes for
yes,
that episode, for
and
our episode, to find the link for the
if not,
quiz.
when you download the app, it actually
Yeah.
gives you a prompt to take it.
Oh,
And it keeps
that's
track of your top 3, their top
Mhm.
3, and then it gives
Oh.
you nudges on how to speak their love language and vice versa. So your options to send them like a little message is according to how their love language is.
That's brilliant.
It's so fun. I mean, you don't get too lost. It's very kind of short, sweet. You click and you put a reminder to remind you to send them a love nudge
Mhm.
according to what they like. And then you can nudge them, like hint, hint, you haven't
Mhm.
sent me anything this week. And it sends them a message saying, hey, I think you should probably send something to Christina. And it's the coolest thing ever. So if
We
you
didn't
had
know about this when we recorded the
no,
episode.
I found
Ah.
out. Someone told me, and
Love
I was like, love
Nudge
nudge.
app. Okay, I am gonna
So
download that.
it's fun. I mean,
But I mean, I should make my husband download it too, because it would be nice if
so if you download it,
Uh-huh.
you can send them a text,
Oh, and
an
okay.
invitation,
Okay.
and they have to download it. So
That
that's
will
what I did.
happen.
So
That's gonna go on the to-do list.
yes,
Yes.
talking about
Talking about to-do lists and all of that. So today, in today's episode, we're gonna talk about juggle or jive,
Mhm.
meaning as entrepreneurs, and as we say in the intro to this show, um, being entrepreneurs is really a life and work juggle. And I mean, in today's society, any work or staying at home mom or anyone, it's a lot of juggling different things. So, and juggling can be super stressful when you're not really good at juggling. And then, of course, jiving is when we're all just
Yes.
jiving along, dancing along the path of life. So,
Mhm.
trying to jive more and juggle less, or struggle with the juggle. I
Yes.
mean, that's another good, we could have called the episode Struggle with the Juggle as well, but we didn't. We'll save that for another
Yes.
episode. So, we're going to talk about some ways that we've learned. Some of them we do better than others, but ways to kind of, yeah, jive more and stress less
Mhm.
with all the things that we need to do. And I'm going to start it all because this little story analogy, I think, is kind of the base for everything. And I love it. I've heard it different places, but the one I found on YouTube was just the best.
She was really,
Yeah,
really
the way they
excited.
explained it there. I've heard it in other podcasts, and it really resonated with me. But this one, so I want you to think about think about having a jar, an empty jar, like a mayo jar or something. And I want you to think about rocks, pebbles, and sand. It's called the rocks, pebbles, and sand analogy. So so think about putting rocks, big rocks, into your jar. When they hit the top, would you say the jar is full?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't
Yes.
get any more rocks in there. So the jar is full. But what if you also had some smaller pebbles? You could get those into the jar too, and they could sort of go in
Been a
between
little.
the rocks, right? And you shake it around a little bit, and you can fit a few more pebbles in.
Yes.
And then would you again say that the jar is pretty full?
It's fuller. Yes.
Fuller,
Full.
yeah.
Yes.
But then you could also grab a handful of sand and pour into the jar, and the sand will go into all the nooks and crannies created by the pebbles and the rocks, right?
Yes. So
And
now it's packed.
so now the jar is definitely
Full.
full.
Hmm.
But even though we think it can be full with just the rocks, there is
Hmm.
room for pebbles and sand. So, what is the meaning here? So, the rocks, since they are the biggest parts taking up most of the space, they are equivalent to the most important projects and responsibilities in your life, such as, spending time with your loved ones, um, developing healthy habits, things that are eh, not just important, but that are critical to your life that you cannot do without. Um, and so, yeah, those are the most important things in your life are the rocks that your life would be not full or fulfilled without, critical to your life. Then the pebbles, they represent things that matter in your life, but that are not critical, like you could live without them.
Hmm.
And that could be, your job, because you could get another job or change your job. Or it could be like your house. Yes, you love your house, but your life is not critically tied
Connected.
to
Yeah.
your house. Or any kind of hobbies that you have for fun that are not critical, but that are fulfilling, but fun, but not essential. And then you have the sand that represents the fillers, the remaining filler things in your life, and material possessions. So these can actually, well, they can be things like watching TV, scrolling social media, do online shopping, things that actually take away, that can be distracting and can take away from your
Hmm.
rocks and your pebbles, but mostly from your rocks. So, if you were starting to fill the jar with sand, there would be no room. If you filled the whole thing up with sand, there would be no room for pebbles or rocks, right? So, the same thing in life. If you fill up on those things that are non essential, there's no room for the things that truly matter.
Huh.
So you run out of room. Yes.
Wow.
So that's why the rocks always need to go in first. They need to be the priority, and they will then decide how much room you have for pebbles and rock, with pebbles and sand.
Hmm.
And they gave an idea too, because we can sometimes have too many rocks too, where we think that everything is just life essential. So they said the best thing to do is to have no more than 5 rocks in your jar at any given time. because then you do have some room to fill with some pebbles and some sand. Because um, we might want a little, well, definitely we want some pebbles. And let's face it, we do like to just do mindless things
Yeah.
sometimes as well, the sand items. But we can't start there and we can't fill up on that, because then the important rocks will not have space. So prioritize 5 rocks in your jar at any given time. So 5 important things in your life that you need to prioritize. Because if you do that, and if you give time for these 5 rocks or less, um, you don't have to feel guilty about
Mm.
filling up on some sand sometimes. There is room and time for some mindless procrastination of pebbles and sand.
I love it.
But isn't that visual? Isn't that just picture or paint everything in such a clear
No, it was
I think it's, to me, I just went boom, light bulb moment. So really, when it comes to the juggle and jive, it really is about identifying what are your rocks? What are those priorities in
mm,
your life? And how do we prioritize the rocks? And then fill up on pebbles and sand. That's what it's all about. And when you figure that out, boom, it's all easy, right?
I love it.
But it sounds maybe easier than it actually is. But so some things that you can do to make sure that you prioritize your 5 or less rocks, or
Dun
prioritize
dun
the right
dun.
rocks in your life. So the number one, the first thing, everyone does it. Some people do it better than others. Did you see that I looked at Ingrid when I said that? Well, you would if you watch this on YouTube. So time management is the first thing we need to prioritize to work in order to prioritize our rocks. So time. So this is an area, for those of you that don't know as well, this is an area where Ingrid in the past have struggled a little bit, right?
A little bit.
But yeah, a little bit. But you've gotten so much better.
I think so.
Yes, I think so too.
Oh, yay.
So what are some of the, what is time? Well, everyone knows what time management is really, and what it is a prioritization of a focus and a prioritization of what what truly matters. Again, those rocks. So some tips and tricks to handle time management, because I think, yes, some people are better at it than others, but I don't think any of us are just born with complete skills. We all need to work on it, especially when we have a lot going on,
Mhm.
family, life, work, all of that. One thing that I've learned to do, and I don't do it all the time, I kind of now do it without thinking about it, but it's called the Pomodoro technique. And I know you hadn't heard this before. When I said it, you're like, the Pomo what?
Yes.
So Pomodoro that's tomato in Italian. And I will explain soon why it's called the Pomodoro. So Pomodoro technique is a time management method, and it's based on 25-minute stretches of focused time. And then you, after 25 minutes, you break for a 5-minute break, and then you can do another 25-minute of focused time. And then you can take longer breaks, 15 to 30 minutes. You take that after 4 Pomodoros. So one Pomodoro is 25 minutes of focus time. So again, why Pomodoro?
Why
Have
tomato?
have you all seen those timers you buy for the kitchen?
Oh, yeah.
Very often
The
they're
tomato.
shaped like a tomato. So that's how the Pomodoro name came up. Someone had one of those tomato timers, and that's why they called it the Pomodoro. Ta-da! Who knew, right? Yes, it was not named after someone called Pomodoro. So you set your timer for 25 minutes, and during this focus time, you put your phone away, turn off everything that can be turned off, and you concentrate on the task at hand. Why 25 minutes? Because most of us can focus for 25 minutes, but many of us cannot focus for more. Get efficient focus, because you can sit there and think you're working for hours with an open laptop, but you're not focusing. So setting the timer and really hunkering down for 25 minutes. And then when your timer clock goes off, boom, then you have a break. So you do 4 of those, then you take a longer break, and then you could do 4 more. So this is really it sounds so easy and goes without saying, but when you do it, you really, really focus. I think it's great. I love them. So if you feel stressed and feel like you have too many things on your plate, then assign them a Pomodoro. So you might be like, first Pomodoro, I'm hitting this one. Second Pomodoro, I'm going to do that task. Third, yeah. So and I also have there's a link in the show notes to where you can read more about the Pomodoro. There's also a little chart that we put in our Facebook group, and it's a PDF where you can see the breakdown, exactly, a little chart. And it has the Pomodoro timer on there too. All right. Is your mind blown already? Okay. Then number 2 in time management is having a good planner. Yes. And there's tons of planners out there, and you can make your own as well. But sticking to one and really using that is, I think, a great method to make sure you're keeping on track with your time management. I'm using the Full Focus Planner from Michael Hyatt. You could just search Full Focus Planner. But having a planner where you can also include a little to-do list, I think, are great, because then you have it all in one place. But somewhere, a lot of people have them only online. I like the old fashioned, because I like to open a page and look at it, and also write per hand, because my brain remembers what I write with my hand and not just online. So I use Google Calendar too, but I do like do you use a
I do.
traditional
I have
one?
a calendar, and I actually have a planner with
Mhm.
a calendar, and then I have a to-do notebook, a
Okay.
dump to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
I dump everything I'm thinking.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, the Full Focus Planner has a lot of room too, so you can write things to think about
I'll have to
and
see how yours
scribble.
look like, 'cause
Yeah.
I literally have
Has
a
weekly kind of, and it does like a morning ritual, evening thing, so you can sort of put a little
hmm,
more of your,
I'll have
not
to take a
just
look at
to
yours.
do. I like it, but there's a lot of good ones out there. Now, another way to do to-do lists, because that's a great way in time management as well, is the post-it technique.
Post-it? Nope, like a Post-it?
Post-it notes. So instead of just having a list that you keep writing, you put up post-it notes around your computer or on a wall. And then each time you've done the task, you rip the post-it. It's very satisfying to rip the
I would
post-it
have
off.
hundreds
Well,
of Post-it
well,
notes.
it's colorful, can be very colorful, but yeah,
That would
that's a
be
great,
funny.
because it's also so visual, and it's also the whole, because I get extreme satisfaction from crossing things off a to-do list, but even more ripping down a post-it note.
Huh.
It's surprisingly satisfactory, I have to say. So yes, that's the post-it to-do list.
Huh. Okay.
Yep. Now, for those of you that do love everything online and do not want any post-it notes up in your house, there are online project management platforms. And those are also great if you have staff. Because if it's just you with your post-it notes, that's one thing. But what if you have people working for you and they might work remotely? How do you rip down the post-its? So these online management platforms, I think, really took off during the pandemic when most people did work remotely. And
Mm.
so you can have a whole team on there. Everyone shares these platforms. And the ones that I'm have used myself is called Monday.com. It's one. I had have the free version of Monday. You can only have 2 users on that, but me and my assistant Amber, I'm not great at keeping up with it because when we work together, we work physically, so it feels like why I could just put a post-it note on her desk. But if you do have remote team, even if it's just very part-time hires, then those online platforms are great. So Monday is one. Asana is another one. I've worked with that one too on a with my coach when we used to work. She used Asana. So you can do not just to-dos, but you can do, well, you could do to-dos and you can do whole project scope of works in there. So when I had a lot of interior clients, I can put each client and the scope of work in there. So it's really, those are super helpful if you do like everything online. And especially when it's not just you, because not everyone might like your way of doing
Yeah.
to-do lists.
You have options.
Yes. And then another thing, and this especially when you work from home and work out of your own office, or it might be out of your own dining room table, is to set office hours. Huge time management help. So it might be a little chart or little note card you put next to your desk stating your office hours so that everyone in the family knows that no, at 9 o'clock until whatever is
Mhm.
mom's office hours, even though the office is in your house. Because I think that was the problem during the pandemic, that it felt like we were working all the time and still got so little done because you never left the office. And working from home, you do not leave the office. If you have a physical office where you could close the door, great, but a lot of us don't. So create your own office hours and make them visible for everyone around you.
I love that.
Yeah. So that was what I had in time management. Anything you want to add to time management?
Manage your time.
Okay, she'll get back on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, they were all, I mean,
Yeah.
those are all great. I mean, I know my time management is better,
Mhm.
but I probably had a lot of rocks in my,
You had a lot of rocks.
yes.
Yeah.
And then, because other things that don't mean anything,
Mhm.
I don't believe I have a lot of those,
Okay.
because I
So you just
really,
had a lot of rocks.
a lot of rocks.
Yeah.
Some pebbles, a lot of rocks, and not so much time.
Yeah.
So I think just rethinking what my rocks are. I think
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
I loved it.
Good. And then number 2 in our juggle, so we've gone through time management. And now let's talk about setting boundaries, which is the best time manager of all time, really. But setting boundaries, we can all be really good at managing our time, but if we can't set boundaries properly, it all is going to fall apart.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So Healthy boundaries are the limits you place around your time, emotion, body, and mental health to stay resilient, solid, and content with who you are. I think that was such a great, I read that online in an article. I think that was a great explanation. Again, so it's the limits you place around time, emotion, body, mental health to stay resilient, solid, and content. Because otherwise, if we are not putting boundaries up, we're going to get drained. We are going to get uh, uh, manipulated, and which can lead to a lot of what do you call it? Not resilience. That's not the word I'm looking for. Which can lead
Resentful?
yes,
Ding, ding,
resentfulness.
ding,
Yes,
ding.
ding, ding, ding. So yes, when you feel that someone is taking advantage, you start growing resentment.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So people that have people with solid boundaries tend to have lower levels of stress and higher self-esteem than people uh, with low or no boundaries. So yeah, the self-esteem and lower stress because you have clearly set perimeters of what you will and will not do, which is very important to think about.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, some ways to set boundaries. I'm going to give you a little checklist there too. It's a lot of note taking today, right? So, things you can do to set boundaries. Number 1 is visualize and name your limits. So, really be clear to yourself, what are my boundaries? And you have to start with visualizing and naming it for yourself. So, identifying those rocks and what, in order to keep those rocks, what are my absolute no-nos? And so, yes, name and visualize your limits. Then, number 2, first, when you've told yourself and established for yourself what the limits are, you need to communicate them to others. So openly communicate your boundaries. And Brene Brown, who's a brilliant woman, she says, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So the more precise you express your boundaries, the more likely your boundaries will be respected. Because I might have all these boundaries, but if I don't tell you, how are you supposed to know? Right?
I can
You can
telepathically
well,
do it.
just you and me, we
Yes.
have that.
No, but
Yeah, but
that's
it's really,
yeah.
and some people think that that might be harsh, but no. And it doesn't mean, just because you have boundaries doesn't mean you're mean or doesn't mean you're harsh. It's just clearly, just like stores have opening hours, they close the door at 6. If you happen to be in there, they're gonna, or whenever they close, but traditionally stores close to 6. You're just gonna go, oh my goodness, we need to get out of here because the store is about to close, right? You're
Mhm.
not going to be like, no, I'm just going to hang around. No, the boundaries of the open hours are they close at 6. Exactly the same way you need to communicate. But now, number 3 is to reiterate your boundaries. Because just because you say them once, and especially if this is a person who's new to you, they don't know you, it's okay to reiterate and uphold those boundaries, to mention them again, both to yourself, because again, clear is kind. And then number 4, don't be afraid to say no. It's amazing how many of us are afraid to say no, right? It seems like it's such a hard or definite thing to say, and you want to keep all your doors open, and
Mm,
therefore you don't say no. But people that are afraid to say no often end up with overwhelming plates, like
mm.
cannot handle everything on our plates. And that really leads to a lot of disappointment because, again, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And if I say yes to everything that I cannot keep up with, I'm going to disappoint some people here or there, right? So you're
Yeah.
always going to, you can never win by saying yes to everything because you'll get out of the feeling of disappointment right up front because sometimes you feel just because I say no, I am turning you down and disappointing you. But really, no can be such a liberating word to say. And often we know in our gut, like, well, I don't want to do that. And still we say yes.
I think it's worse when you say yes and then don't show up or don't
Yes,
come through.
exactly. That is my, can I just be very clear and say it's my pet peeve? People that say they're going to show up, like, yeah, 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 I'll be there. And then 90% of the time, they don't show up. That is,
I'd rather you surprise me, show up,
yeah,
and say, "Oh shoot, I wasn't in your head. I wasn't counting for you
yeah,
or
yeah,
counting on you to
yeah,
show up. I'm glad you're here."
yeah,
Versus, "Gosh, you said you were going to be here."
yeah.
So it's
And really, people that tend to say yes to everything all the time, and you learn that about them, you just count them out to start with. You
mm,
don't take their yes um, for granted, or you don't take it, um,
value, face value.
yeah, at face
Hmm.
value. You just kind of go, yeah, sure, she says she's going to come, or he says he's going to come, but of course they're not, and you just dismiss them. And that, it's terrible to be a person that people dismiss. I mean, that's horrible.
Yeah, well, I don't think they really care either.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they do. I think people do, but really be, yeah, it's
Well, not care. I guess I shouldn't use the word care, but I think that's just, I
they're
believe,
just so used to saying
yes,
yes that they
they don't
just
even realize that
no,
they
no. So yes, let's all do a little self inventory check and
self
say,
check.
how many times do I say yes and then not show up, or change plans last minute because I knew from the beginning it was not going to work. So learn to say no. You can say no in a really kind way because, again, clear is kind. Yes. And then the last thing to set boundaries, and again, it's to prioritize those rocks, but to make time for yourself, to really set aside time for self care. Because really, if you don't take care of yourself, then who is? No one else is going to make, we might hope that our loved ones is going to make a priority of taking care of us, but really, it's your job to take care of you.
I love it. So now, not only take care of you, but if you don't take care of you, you really
Mhm.
can't take care
Yeah,
of anyone else.
that's right. Again, is that the safety plane, put your own gas mask on before helping others,
I
but
wonder if they're really up there.
it's, let's hope we never find out. But yeah, so setting aside time for yourself is not selfish. It's a rock. Let's face it. Self care is a rock. Okay. All right. So next part, Ingrid, in our juggle and jive, let's talk about positive mindset.
All right, so let's see what I have. Okay. So for positive, which I love, I think I believe that with everything going on and the business that we're both still in, positive is kind of has been brought up to us, and I've learned a lot. And one of the things I talk about is affirmations. I
Mm-hmm.
love
Yep.
affirmations. And when you say them, a couple of tips I'm going to give you, I'll share with you, is a lot of times people think positive thinking is that it's not true. So
Mhm.
why, if it's not happening,
It's just faking it.
yeah, they'll fake
Mhm.
it till you make it. And it's
Yeah.
actually, your brain is a really cool
Mhm.
thing that we all have. So when you do affirmations, talk about present tense. Like, what is it that you want to happen? If you had a choice of an affirmation, what would it already look like?
Mm.
So it has to have like that thought process. And an affirmation also has to pertain to you, like what you want positive to happen to you.
Mhm.
Okay. And it has to be aspirational. So what makes you happy? What makes you tick? What makes you think like, okay, if I can wave a magic wand, what would my life look like?
Mhm.
And thinking of that will allow you to think more positive. And it doesn't have to do with anything, with your kids, with work, with where you are now. It's what you want it to look like. Okay. Another tidbit I have is what I started doing. I have two. I have a gratitude jar.
Mhm.
So my children and my whole family knows that if there's something that they're grateful for,
Yeah.
they put in the jar. So when
That's
days
nice. I like
are
that.
not so great, they can actually go into the jar and pull something out
Mm.
that they had been grateful for. A little reminder. And I think you hit on this today is self-love and
Mhm.
self-care
Yep.
is super, super important.
Yeah.
See, and I know this is in your sand. I think it's in a sand or a pebble, but do more of what you love.
Mm.
Sometimes when it comes to, even having those rocks,
Mhm.
it's really important to kind of take a little bit of time.
But absolutely,
Yeah.
because if you do work with time management and
Mhm.
set boundaries,
Yes.
there will be time left over for pebbles and sand, right?
Yes. And one thing that was asked on our post when we
Mhm.
posted on what
Yeah.
people wanted to know more about is how to silence the noise,
Mhm.
negative noise.
Yeah.
And uh, I love Carl Jung,
Mhm.
and he talks about negative situations and negative thoughts. A lot of negative situations are usually determined on how you react to them.
Mhm.
So something bad can be happening. You can, however, shut it off and determine how you want to react to that, which for me, it took me a long time because I figured a lot of the bad stuff, trauma happens and you absorb a lot of it. But
Yeah.
I learned that you have control over how you react to them.
Mhm.
So even if something is really negative, you can kind of just say, well, I'm not going to allow this situation to make me feel this way.
Mhm.
So being really aware of that
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah.
And a lot of people also asked, how do you deal with children, being
Yeah.
a mom
Mhm.
and, and juggling all of it? So how I jive with my children
Mhm.
is I invite them to work with me.
Yep. I do the same. Yep.
So it's been really, really awesome to have them make deliveries with
And
me.
I do think as entrepreneurs, that's the luxury and the one of
Yes.
the biggest benefits is that you can really let your kids and your family in your business. It's harder to bring them to work because
Yes.
that might not be a
So as an
place.
entrepreneur, it's easy.
Yeah.
And then a few moms are not entrepreneurs
Hmm.
ask, how do I do it? So I
Yeah.
kind of mix a little bit of both. So what I
Hmm.
used to do, and I still do, is I wear like a hat or a crown. I love wearing crowns. I think it's cool. So when I'm
Wouldn't
in
have
my
thought,
office,
right?
yes, when I'm in the office and I really have to make those phone calls, emails, or orders, I'll have my crown on, and the children know mom's working.
Hmm.
Then when I take it off, it's mom time.
Mm.
So one of
Mm.
the things we've talked about probably in a few, if not most episodes, is making someone feel important.
Yeah.
So if it's not work time, and this is something I learned to do, and I'm really great at it now, is if someone calls and you're not working and you know it's
Hmm.
a work phone call, don't pick it up.
Yeah. That's a boundary.
Yes.
That is a
So
boundary.
it's
That's
a
a
lot of
great way to
if
set
you
a
kind of
boundary. Yeah.
if you're listening,
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, okay, oh my gosh, this too. It's true. It all kind of
Hmm.
comes together
Yeah.
as sometimes I'll call Christina and she's like, oh hey, I gotta let you go. I'm doing
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
Totally fine. Unless it's an emergency, and I'll tell her, no, Christina,
Mhm.
I need to talk to you.
Mhm.
I'll text her and say, hey, I need to do this. Or when you pick up the kids and you have to let go of the phone, say, oh my gosh, I'm picking up my children.
Yep.
I will call you later.
Yep.
It's that sense of they're just as important
Yep.
as your job, but you have to let them know and set
Yep.
those boundaries.
Yes.
So it's really fun when you do it because it makes them
Yeah.
feel
And a way
feel
that we
good.
incorporated our kids too is that where they can help out. So
Yes.
when they get old enough and they could get little jobs, like my son does deliveries for my Mary Kay business. When he got a driver's license, I'm like, I have a job for you. And it's great that he got to drive, which he thought was so fun, and, make money out of it. So there are ways. Are there any ways where you can incorporate your kids to be a part of your business? Put labels on your products or whatever it
Mhm.
is. Bella videotapes a lot of my reels. She shoots the reels and
I
edits
love
them.
it.
So
Mine is
yeah,
still a little younger, but they love to help out. And then last but not least is just clearing out your brain. It says your brain is dirty, dusty, and disorganized. So it's just dirty. So what do you do?
dirty. When you say dirty, that you might think about something
Yeah,
different.
well, I mean, you can think, well, that too, you might need to clear that out too. But also is do yourself a favor. Instead of, how we have a cleaning lady that comes in,
Mhm.
pay someone else to clean out your dirty brain of all that stuff. It's gonna
Mm,
cost you a lot
mm.
less to have someone help you
Yeah,
than for you to clear it out yourself. Because all that time you're spending trying to clear out what you think needs to be cleared out.
yeah.
If it's been in there that long, you're probably not going to clean it up yourself. So,
That's really funny. So cleaning lady and therapist really have very similar jobs.
yes,
That's great. I love it
why
because
not?
you need both.
It's the
Yeah,
best thing.
yeah. Some weeks I need one more than the other.
Yeah, I sometimes use both equivalently, but that's my positive
Yeah.
thinking because
Oh,
a lot
that's
of
awesome.
people frown
Yeah.
against if you're too positive. They're
Mhm.
like, "What's wrong? Nothing
Mm.
is wrong. You've
Yeah.
just delegated
Yeah.
and cleaned out so much space
Mhm.
that you have time to just
Yeah.
do what you need to do."
Yeah. And then last thing in our juggle and jive,
Dun, dun.
how you really kind of thrive at being an entrepreneur is, I think, the importance of learning something new or something, the importance of learning, period. Because learning is growth. And if we
Yes.
don't grow, we die. That's just the way nature works. Either we're going this way or we're going that way. It's just so. Uh, and when I took the Strength Finder test way back, my number one strength is my love of learning. So sometimes it's just because I sign up for a bunch of classes, like, ooh, I want to learn this, ooh, and then I haven't picked those rocks properly. I have too much pebbles of things I'm going to learn.
I love it.
But I do think I am often shocked when I hear people that never listen to a podcast, which of course won't be any of you because you're listening to this,
Yes.
but never fill up on learning new things. Or even it could be within the same genre that you're working in.
Mhm.
It's just kind of learning more. But it really is growing in some sense, even if professionally or personally, is so important. And really, in today's society with podcasts, it's completely free. There's so many free and books. I mean, you can go to the library
Mhm.
and get some self growth books. But really, if you're not learning, you are not growing. So, online courses, podcasts,
But that's
whatever you
something
can.
that they should make time
That
for.
is a rock.
Yeah, that's a rock
Yes, it is
that
a
if
rock.
they don't
It's that
have it,
self
it's
care, self
Mhm.
growth is a rock. You need to. Otherwise, it is essential for your life
Yes.
because otherwise you are going to go
So if
backwards.
you were debating on a rock, that
Yes.
should be one of the
Yes.
rocks.
And it can be free or it can sometimes it's something that costs a lot of money, like if you're joining a mastermind or something like that. But maybe it is exactly what you need to
Mhm.
spend a little money learning or growing in that way, and it really should be a priority. So, what did you learn today? Of course, you learned a lot listening to this podcast, right? But what other podcasts are you going to listen to today? Yeah. So those are the juggle and jive things that we had: time management, boundaries, positive mindset, and the importance of learning.
I love it. No, I think it was
And then, of course, our mompreneur, how you
yes.
juggle with kids and everything.
And
Yeah.
everyone's different, but I do believe there was quite a few rocks and nuggets that we gave you
Yes.
guys today. And
So
let us know
yes.
what you're trying new,
Yeah.
and if you do something that we did mention,
Yeah.
let us know, because
Yeah.
or if you have any ideas.
Yeah. But remember, don't fill up on sand.
No, you go to the beach for that. Well, Christina,
Yes.
I
This was
think
fun.
it was fun. Well,
Until next time, go pick out your rocks.
cheers.
Cheers.